Hello. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you from wherever that you are joining from. Welcome to the day two of our Young Entrepreneur Summit 2026. Yes, Summit 2026. Yes, that's the short form of Young Entrepreneur Summit. I am Lydia, your program coordinator for today. But today, I will not be your only coordinator. I have another wonderful lady behind the scenes who will also join us in the interim to coordinate this session. I told you today we have wonderful lineups, and today it gets better. So even me as the coordinator, I won't be the only coordinator for the today because we have another beautiful young lady who's joining us. It is wonderful to have all of us joining us from around the world. This summit is organized by Oxy Organization. Oxy is a youth-led movement. Oxy is dedicated to empowering young innovators, entrepreneurs, young people, and leaders to build a sustainable community. And it starts from home, it starts from Ghana and beyond. So, over the next 2 hours, we'll still explore ideas, we'll still explore insights across various topics in entrepreneurship, governance, real estate, and more. Yesterday was amazing. If yesterday was amazing, imagine how today is going to be like. I am excited for today because we have a lineup of incredible speakers and panelists who are ready to share insights, their experiences, and practical advice that will help you and I in our field. So today, I know a lot of people are joining, and if you are here live, just send fire emoji in the comment section for me to know that you are here with me. I am not alone. So I want some fire shots in the chat section so that I know that you're with me. Okay, I can see some fire. Okay, I see. Yes, 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 yes. Awesome. Before we delve into today's lineup, I want us to do a quick recap of yesterday because yesterday was amazing. If you couldn't join yesterday, you missed a lot. Yesterday, we had a lot of ideas and insights about various topics in social impact. Social impact, we had a group of panelists who were here to share their insights about social, what they are doing in their various fields that continually impact our world socially. We also had a discussion on agriculture. Agriculture is very profitable. I had no idea that agriculture is that profitable and very lucrative in Ghana. Panelists who are so amazing and they know tech and AI. Yes, now tech is the currency for this Gen Z generation. And it was amazing, amazing to know how people are utilizing tech and AI in their various fields and how even you can get data in Ghana because I had no idea that getting data for some analysis and for some research can be difficult. But we had a group of speakers who were so knowledgeable about how to get data in terms of anything you want to do that requires data in Ghana. And it was amazing. I was so happy to know how I can get data because getting accurate data is not just the data, but getting accurate data is what is needed. And I was happy about it. Also, we had speakers that spoke. We had a speaker, Pakisi also spoke to us about branding, and it was good to understand the essence of branding, because sometimes we forget that everybody is a brand, and that's what purposely made us aware that everyone has a brand, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not. But now, how do you leverage your brand? How do you work on your brand? How do you brand yourself so that the external environment rather doesn't brand you? It was amazing. I was, so now I think I am a program coordinator. So now I think the brand that I have to work on improving on my brand, because as long as I've been here for once or twice, then I have a brand, and it's necessary to rather make it better than just stick to the status quo or stick to what you already have. It was insightful. Thank you, Pakisi. And thank you to all our amazing speakers. Thank you to every panelist. Thank you to our moderators. Our moderators did so amazing, ensuring that every panel discussion is on point. Yes, on behalf of Oxy, we still want to thank our speakers, our panelists, our moderators for day one. We are so grateful because they ensured that every session was successful. And I would also like to use this opportunity to thank our organizers and our coordinators for day one. Day one, there were people behind the scenes who were ensuring that things are going on smoothly. Our tech, our chief technical officer, shout out to you. Thank you so much. Thank you to our president, our vice president. Thank you to every single person who helped to make day one a success. And day two promises to be better, like I told you. This time around, this in this day two, we have another set of topics that is very key in our current economy, like real estate. Real estate is a topic that I personally am of interest, because real estate in Ghana is still developing, and we are here to also talk about entrepreneurship. You are an entrepreneur, so this topic is very important and very significant to even the summit that we are holding now, because we are all entrepreneurs, and that's why most of us are here. And we also talk about governance. It looks like the youth is not interested in governance, but it's not true, because governance is something that is holding everything in the economy. Okay, in order not to make things too long, because we have a lot of interesting and exciting, let's go straight into action. We move straight to our first speaker. Our first speaker is someone who is an inspiration to many, including myself. He's an inspiration to many. He has an inspiring voice all over the world. He has made books that is continually blessing the world and is continually blessing every reader who takes his books to read. And he is in the person of Barry, Mr. Barry Pierpoint. Mr. Barry Pierpoint is here to speak to us on the topic entrepreneurship as a tool for community development. I am excited to hear him talk about it, and please let's welcome Mr. Barry Pierpoint. Mr. Barry Pierpoint, welcome, and over to you.
Oh, thank you very much. Good morning to you all. Thank you for inviting me to be a speaker today at the Young Entrepreneurs Summit. I believe I am Ox's founding mentor, who I've helped over the years in many ways. And it's a great pleasure to be with you to discuss a subject that's not only relevant to your future, but also to the future of our communities, entrepreneurship as a tool for community development. First, I just want to talk you through briefly my background, because it gives you an insight and understanding of how I began my life and my career journey. At a very young age, I came from a very fragmented and very poor family, and I was only 11 when my father left home and leaving my mother, my younger brother, and myself to fend for ourselves. So life was tough in the early days. And after school and college, I went to Nottingham Trent University 3 times a week in the evenings to study business, leadership, management, and marketing. I've always had a desire and passion to run my own business, and I knew I had the confidence, the self belief, the determination, and energy to take on a big challenge. So at 21, long time ago, I decided to go on my own by operating a petrol filling station in Nottingham, where I lived then, as a self employed franchisee. And by 23, 2 years later, I had six petrol stations and over 40 staff. I'd actually worked part time in that area of business in my youth, so I had a good knowledge of that sector. From there, I went to work for the Nottingham Chamber of Commerce and Industry and met many businessmen, including chief executives, managing directors, entrepreneurs. They all inspired me. They gave me more confidence. I learned more about business, and they were very useful contacts to know and to tap into for help, advice, and guidance. I was also a very successful chief executive running very professional Premiership football clubs. Um, I also bought a loss making advertising, marketing, and PR business and turned it into a profitable business. So for me, networking with businessmen was key to me gaining valuable contacts, knowledge, developing my skills, and learning from others, which provided me with more confidence in the business world, such as how to conduct myself, how to negotiate, how to deal with high flyers, and how to gain huge business experience. Also, it gave me opportunities and learning from others and their mistakes too. For most people, when you say entrepreneurship, they think of profit, they think of growth, investment, and commercial success. It is, but there's a lot more to it than that. For community development, many think of social enterprises and charities and community interest companies, here known as CICs, and also public services. Again, it's that and a lot more. In my experience, I find that putting two organizations together, that's a business and a community project, finding the right business who wants to partner the right community project, charity or good cause, creates a win-win for both. Currently, as an entrepreneur running a management consultancy business, working with local companies and helping them to start up a new business or develop an existing business to grow and become more sustainable and profitable, I see the opportunities and signpost to organisations, a business and a community project who have a common ground and interest. And this is how business and communities work together. I'm also a university alumni and work with Nottingham Trent University, coaching graduates in business, leadership, management, and consultancy development and initiatives. Sorry, community developments. We identify companies, their ethos and particular community interests, and from there make the right connections for them with the appropriate community organisation. And as some of you know, reading the notes, I was the mayor of Boston in Lincolnshire, UK, from last May to this May, which is a great privilege and an honour for me, carrying out civic duties, visiting schools, attending church services, working with community groups, opening new businesses, giving talks, attending all local events, and a lot more. It was virtually a full-time job whilst I was doing all the other things as well. That was just for 1 year. You can only be 1 year for the mayor in my town. In that 12-month period, I undertook over 200 engagements and met every walk of life. I also raised £11,000, which is a lot of money for a small town of 80,000 people, for 5 local charities. And they were charities to do with health, charities to do with children, charities to do with food banks, charities to do with autism, and charities to do with brain injuries. All benefited from that fundraising 12-month period that I gave to that community. One thing I did notice was there were gaps and lack of some community services, as most organisations specialise in specific services that were not generic. So, for example, homelessness, mental health, autism, children, brain injuries, the elderly, etc. So, where there were gaps in the community services, I would link them up together with businesses and partnerships, business partnerships and community projects. My businesses are built by extracting value from communities, they're not built by creating value within them. When my community and town thrives, my business also thrives alongside it. As an entrepreneur for over 30 years, I can easily identify opportunities, solve problems, create value, take ownership, and create sustainable enterprise with pride. My community where I live and work is full of challenges waiting for innovative solutions. Whether it's access to employment, affordable housing, sustainable transport, skill development, environmental improvement, or healthcare, as an entrepreneur, I have the ability to turn challenges into opportunities that benefit both society and enterprise. A powerful example can be found when I was involved with a community-owned renewable energy project across our area, where some of the profits generated were reinvested into the community, such as youth programs, village facilities, support for vulnerable and elderly people, transport schemes, and charitable organisations. As part of my fundraising for communities business, I started this up with a group of volunteers, a community enterprise company called the Community Table. This is a food project, sustainable retail style supermarket that prioritizes food dignity. Not a food bank, as people have to pay, but it is also helps those people in poverty with food which is near its sell by date and otherwise would be thrown away. So that's a great asset for that local community. Surplus food is purchased from wholesalers who sell at very low prices to the project, and they turn it into a in turn they sell it to the public or members of this new scheme at very low prices compared with normal shop prices. The measurable outcomes are clear. These projects have reduced carbon emissions, generated local employment, improved energy resilience, and provided sustainable funding for community initiatives that might otherwise struggle to survive. This is entrepreneurship delivering both commercial and social returns. The key to success in these examples is alignment. Enterprise and community purposes are deliberately connected from the very beginning. My successful community-led enterprise and my business consultancy models that balances off financial sustainability with social impact. There are many different types of social enterprises. They come in forms of community interest companies, cooperatives, or employee-owned businesses. Others are traditional businesses with strong commitments to local investment, local employment, and social responsibility. In the UK, there are many sources of finance. These include commercial investments, grants, community share offers, crowdfunding campaigns, local authority support, and partnerships with charitable foundations. This blended approach allows organisations like mine to pursue long-term community goals while maintaining commercial discipline and financial sustainability. Partnerships are another critical ingredient. As an entrepreneur, I cannot succeed entirely alone. My community enterprise have built relationships with local authorities, education institutions, voluntary organisations, investors, businesses, and residents. These partnerships provide expertise, resources, credibility, and access to wider networks. I do not rely too heavily on grant funding because that is not always guaranteed. And so, therefore, it's important that you have to develop, and I have developed, other sustainable revenue streams. And that's most important. My success is due to my community entrepreneurship, my vision, my leadership, my sound financial management, my accountability, and a very deep understanding of local issues and needs. You here today, I believe, are uniquely positioned to lead this movement. You are a part of a generation that's increasingly motivated not just by income, but by impact. You want meaningful careers, you want to solve real problems, you want businesses to stand for something greater than profit alone. Entrepreneurship gives you the opportunity to do that. You don't have to choose between building a successful enterprise and making a positive difference. The most exciting opportunities of the future will often be those that achieve both. Whether you're a startup technology company, a creative business, a social enterprise, a sustainability initiative, or local service, the question I encourage you to ask is this: how can my success contribute to the success of others? As an entrepreneur, I embrace that mindset and communities become stronger. When communities become stronger, opportunities increase. When opportunities increase, future generations are empowered to achieve even more. This is the true power of entrepreneurship as a tool for community development. Thank you for listening, and I hope you take away a few ideas to develop your business and for the community. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Barry. Thank you for those insightful knowledge you gave us concerning entrepreneurship. Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you for your contribution and time to Yes 2026. Now we have another speaker. He's here to talk to us about governance. And I know it's so dear to him. So the speaker is also one of our founders, is the co-visionary for Oxy, and he's also one of the brains behind this whole summit. And we really appreciate you, sir. We thank you for all that you've been doing over the years. He is in the person of Kwabna Odro Pekari, and he's also here to talk to us on the topic about governance, young entrepreneurs as the new backbone of African democracy. Please help me welcome Kwabna Odro Pekari. Kwabna, please, over to you.
Um, Thank you. Thank you, Lydia. It's an honor to be here today. And let me just say that when my co-founder proposed that I address this summit, I must confess I didn't know what to say, wallahi. But then I figured this might be my only shot at selling a dream. Not just a dream for one, but a dream for all young entrepreneurs. And so stay with me for the next few minutes as I explain how young entrepreneurs can become the new backbone of the African democracy. And before I say anything else, I want to talk about you, the people on this call. Young, bright minds with something special in you, something ancient, something powerful, something that has always been in this land. And that something is the ability and the drive to create. You know, let me just talk about something that is quite easy to forget when the world tells you that you are not enough. You, first off, are a human being. Not a statistic, not a problem to solve, not a burden on anyone, but a human being made in the image and likeness of God. And what do we know about God? What does the Bible tell us about God? The first thing the Bible tells us about God is that He creates. He looks at nothing and He makes something. He looked at emptiness and He made life. He made the rivers, the forests, the mountains, and everything we can see. And then He made you in His image. And He gave you a simple task to be a steward of this earth. That is not poetry. That is your assignment as a human being. And now let me get to our assignment as entrepreneurs. When I say entrepreneur, I'm not talking about just someone in a suit with a PowerPoint presentation. I'm talking about someone who sees a problem and does not walk away. Someone who can say, well, this is broken and I can fix it. That is who you are as an entrepreneur. That is what you do. That is your calling. And today I want to combine both our power as men and women made in the image and likeness of God and our calling as entrepreneurs and focus on one problem that needs fixing, a problem that needs you, Africa. 60 years ago, over 60 years ago, Kwame Nkrumah stood before leaders of newly independent African nations, and he asked a simple question, a question that should have taken one afternoon to answer. I mean, it did, but the answers clearly no worked. You know, he asked, what are we waiting for, Africa? What are we looking for? He dreamt of a continent that stood bold, free, and powerful. You know, one that stood on its own terms and answered to no one but itself. Now, leaders have come and gone, conferences have been held, papers have been signed, billions have been spent. Yet here we are with no proper answer to that question. Because clearly, if we did have an answer, then Africa will be united by now, and we will be the envy of the world. But I, for one, am not here to mourn what was not done. I am here to declare what will be done, because I strongly believe that this generation is the one that answers, you know, Nkrumah's question, not through documents and big halls, but here, online, with our ideas, our vision, our drive, our minds, our hands, and our skills. So what are we looking for? I want to answer that question for our generation. We are looking for that simple dream that is shared amongst every single young person on this continent. The one that builds so much hope, dignity, and opportunity here, that the chance to live a decent life does not become a privilege. It becomes our pride. The generation before us fought for freedom, and our task is to build upon that freedom they fought for and leave something better to the next generation, so that they can build upon and hand over something better to the next. That is what we should be doing as a people. And Nkrumah was right. What are we waiting for? What are we really waiting for? We must unite now. But however, the answer to these questions, the OAU and the AU, are definitely not worked. And it is time for us to propose a new one. I suggest that we begin to look at the United Tribes of Africa. Not states, but tribes. Because that is who we are. That is who we were before all of this started. And we, the young entrepreneurs of today, can pioneer this. Let me share that plan with you. When we talk about developing Africa, we always talk about the politician. But there is one authority that was there before any flag was raised or any constitution was written. The king, the chief, the elder of the tribe. They know the land. They have the trust of the people. They have been there through every government that came and went. Look at the Ashanti Kingdom, for instance, one of the most respected and organized institutions in our history. What if young entrepreneurs of today brought our ideas, our energy, and our minds together to build solutions for them? And through that, we begin to look forward to what will be, what can be, what Africa is going to look like during our time. Connect all these tribes with a clear goal of achieving a United Tribes of Africa. And as this begins to happen in Accra, as young entrepreneurs begin to fix problems in Accra, it begins to happen in Senegal, and whatever works in Lagos can be applied in Accra. Young people providing real solutions to real problems in communities, with the sole aim of achieving a youth-led United Tribes of Africa for our generation. This can be achieved during our time, and we as young entrepreneurs have a big role to play in it. This is how we can become the backbone of the African democracy, by fixing problems. Now, some may ask, we are not talking about politicians, we're talking about the kings. Are we driving the politicians out? I say, well, not necessarily, because when the United Tribes of Africa is finally achieved, Ghana becomes more than just a country. It becomes a regional bloc. In fact, all countries on the continent will become regional blocks for the tribes in that jurisdiction. So no, we are not necessarily driving them out. We are building whilst we wait. And whatever they do today benefits us in the end. They build for the present, and we build for the future. Development only begins, right, when we find, you know, when we will try to do away with the lines that were drawn by our colonial masters and begin to draw our own lines, figure out what best works for us. And this is how we can do away with those lines, go back to what we were before all of this started, and then use that as a foundation to build the greatest continent the world has ever seen. And so this is what I am asking of you today, not tomorrow, not when the times are good. Go back to your community and find one problem you can solve. Not all of Africa's problems, just one. Find one young person and bring them along. Find one king, one chief, one elder who believes in what you're doing, and build a bridge between the old and the new. Do this, and you've already begun the United Tribes of Africa. And if you are afraid that the dream might be too big or too huge, I say to you today that Nkrumah's generation was told their dream was too big, yet they achieved it. We have something they did not have. We have the internet, advanced technology, and instant connection across borders. The tools for a united Africa have never been made more available. And all that was missing was us, you and I, being bold, being ready. We can achieve it too. We can achieve it too. And even if we can't, the fact that we picked it up alone would inspire the next generation to pick it up, the same way we are inspired to pick it up from our forebears. And at one point, the united Africa we all envision will be achieved. That is what this is about. Building upon what was left behind by the previous generation and making it better, perfecting it. Some may ask, where do we find the resources to execute these ideas? That is why we are building the Young Entrepreneurs Network and the Young Entrepreneurs Club, so that we can all come together to share ideas and resources and connections with the sole aim of achieving this vision, building through community. Together, we can. Now, the topic for this discussion is roots that govern, and I want to dwell on that word for a second. Roots. When you see a great tree, you see the branches, the leaves, you see what the world sees. But what keeps the tree standing through drought and storm? The roots. The thing no one sees. They go deeper and they grow wider and they hold firm. That is what young entrepreneurs are to Africa. So let us go deep, let us go deeper, let us grow wider and hold firm, so that one day when a tree of a united Africa stands tall and the whole world looks up in wonder and they ask, who built this? The answer will be us. These roots, this generation. This is our time. Let's make it count. May God bless you, and may God bless these United Tribes of Africa. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Governor Ojo Kakari. Thank you for your valuable contribution and that heartfelt presentation on governance and democracy in Africa. Together, we will become a united Africa. Thank you so much for your time, and we greatly appreciate your contribution. Now, we move straight to our first panel discussion, and they are also about here to talk on governance and civic education. And this discussion will be moderated by Ubeta Ada. Sorry, Ubeta Ado. Ubeta Ado. I'm so sorry, Ubeta Ado. Ubeta Ado is someone who has knowledge on these topics, and Ubeta will be joined by panelists Kwamina Hamon and Nana Beido, and they are here to discuss how young people can create meaningful change in their community or wherever they find themselves when they get involved in governance and civic education. And I am very happy to introduce to you all these panelists and their moderator. Over to you, Beta.
Hi, thank you so much, Lydia. That was such a warm welcome. And as Lydia has rightfully put it, this is our Governance and Civic Education panel. And today we are going to be exploring what it really means for young people to move beyond talking about change and begin actively shaping the future of Ghana through civic participation, leadership, and accountability. I am Yubeta Ado, and I'm here with Ama Governor, with Nana Beidu and Kwamina Hammond. And I am more than excited to learn from the three of you who have been doing this work from very different angles. I'm not sure I can see them, but we're just gonna go right into it. And let's just start simple. Okay, I see them. I see one person now. And we're just going to get into it. And in one sentence, I'm going to ask the panel, what does civic participation mean to you and how do you personally practice it? Let's start the conversation with Kwamina. I'm sorry, I can't hear any of the panelists.
Yes, hi, hello, can you hear me?
Okay, perfect. I can hear you now.
Yes, thank you. It's a great opportunity to be here. I'd like to acknowledge the entire team for putting this together. I believe my guy, Kari is on the line. Thanks for the great keynote and also the moderator. I hope I get your name right. You better.
Yeah,
Hello?
that's actually
Oh,
perfect. Yes.
awesome, Nana Beju. I'll go straight to the question that was asked. I believe we do understand civic education has been a thing across the globe. Here in Ghana, we have the National Commission for Civic Education that oversees that faction of civic education here in Ghana, which is certainly the process of educating citizens on their rights, their responsibilities, and duties. Certainly to empower them and also motivate them to identify what areas of the political and governance processes they can effectively participate in. And that is one thing that also I've been a part of over the years, had the opportunity to be a porter from senior high school, Form 1 in Infanspim, had to engage especially with different programs, had to do with teenage pregnancy as well. And so it basically has to do with the from the beginning. It says train up a child in the way he should go, and when he grows, he won't depart from it. So civic education begins as at the early ages, as early as possible, and then transitions into tertiary institutions, into high school, the high school institutions as well. That's a little bit I would like to share. I believe Nana Bedu also has something to share as well. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Before I go right to Nana Beidu, I think you misheard. I was asking about civic participation, and I would love to hear about how you personally practice it. That was very great insight as to how we raise up the generation that we want in the education of these civic issues. But we would love to
Okay.
hear how you have been practicing it in your field.
Okay. In my field as country director for Play Soccer Ghana and also as the Youth Assembly ambassador, I've had to actually input civic education practices. Here at PSG, we're a sports for non-development profit. And what we do here is we use soccer as a tool to educate kids from 5 to 15 years on with a social curriculum, a health curriculum, using soccer as a tool. And we're here in Cape Coast. We've been around since 2001. We scaled down a bit after COVID hit, but we're back up and running. So we certainly have that running, a lot of civic education there in our programs, our core program as well. Yes.
That's amazing. We love to hear it. Okay, Nana Beidu, you could take us away with your response.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity and thank you, organizers. And The question is, what is civic participation? Or from my perspective, what is civic participation? Um, with my experience, serving in government and as one of the few youngest and working on government policies, I would say that this what as a person I have also done to help and I continue to do, letting people understand the need for them to hold some values and
Mm-hmm.
also interpret it to them. Because everything I might be saying here is from my experience, especially working in the government system in Ghana. And when it comes to value systems like integrity, it's like some people don't even know why they should practice that because there's this saying that we are the reflection of the people we spend most of our life with. And some people,
Mm-hmm.
right from childhood, there are some value system they hold that is not good. It's not good at all. You might see some of them being members of parliament, but their mindset, everything is not good. So with me, what I do is wherever I get to, I try to let them know like practice integrity. Not just say it, but at least give them some methods and some ways that they can use to practice integrity, honesty,
Mm-hmm.
this code of ethics. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing for years, and people that know me knows that that's what I stand for, and I
Mm-hmm.
believe that is one thing I'm doing in my small little way. Even with my travels around the world, by the message of God, wherever I go, I try to let them know. Listen, don't let your environment define you. Maybe you are here, so this is the norm here. It doesn't mean if it's a norm there, it's a norm everywhere. There are people in maybe Ghana, maybe in Nigeria, especially the youth. There are systems that we were all born into that we think is good. But with me, I always try to let you know it is not good. Try to go for the best
Mm-hmm.
because you are special, because you were born for it. So that's what I've been doing, trying to let people understand the need for them to practice these value
Yeah.
systems in their day-to-day life. Thank you.
That's amazing. I get from what I'm hearing, basically it's a way of life. It doesn't start from 9 and end at 5. It doesn't start only in the country that you were born, but it's every opportunity we can. And just going right into the next question. Kwamina, you've spent years mobilizing young people through sports and mentorship and community work. And Nana, you have also worked with government structures and policy spaces. When people are saying that Ghanaian youth need to take more responsibility and stop waiting for permission, does that resonate with you at all? And are young people truly governing themselves, or are we still waiting for the older generation to hand us power?
Oh yes, I think is that my turn on Anabidus?
Whoever wants to take the floor first, you can start
Okay, I
us
think
off.
Nana can jump right into it since he's, and I'll take it off from there.
Yeah.
Hope that helps. Okay.
Oh, okay. The question, help me out with the question again, please.
Okay, so people are saying that the Ghanaian youth need to take responsibility and stop waiting for permission. And I'm asking, is that something that you feel like it resonates with you? Are we really governing ourselves, or are we waiting for the older generation to just hand us power?
Yes, I think the Ghanaian youth have to, take that bold step. But there is a problem in life. I always believe you first have to identify your problems
Mm-hmm.
before you solve them. If you're not able to identify the problem, that means you don't even know whatever you're going through is a problem. And the problem here is our system had made us to understand that go to school, after school, go get a job or come get a job. So we haven't been trained or groomed to be very innovative and very like out there to try and solve basic problems within our community. So most of us have the mindset, I'm going to school after school, I'm going to see this uncle to put me in a job. And I believe this is the time where we as African youth, most especially Ghanaians, have to stand up. But you can only do this first when you are able to identify your purpose. We have people gallivanting all around without not knowing their purpose. They are just following the, like the norms of society, which is not so. So I always tell people, especially my youth, especially my generation, listen, it takes time to identify your purpose. But put in the effort, identify your purpose, know who you are, After knowing who you are, then you go out there to go fulfill your purpose. So when you do this, you don't try to always wait on on our elders. And there's a thing to where the youth also want to take positions that the elders are already in, which from my experience, I would say no, it's always good to be with them and learn from them. Yes, they are doing some things that are not good, but you can learn the good ones and use them in your day-to-day life. Thank you.
Okay, I love that perspective. And what it sounds like is that basically the Ghanaian youth are stuck in this vicious cycle of waiting for power to be handed down to us and just following the lead of people who are unfortunately doing things that are not necessarily supporting the empowerment of our youth. And I would love to hear more about that after we go to hear Kwamina's thoughts on this.
All right. Thank you very much. Sorry for the noise in the background. We're having some facility maintenance here at the site. But anyways, I'd like to talk about the flip side of Nana Beidu's about people not knowing purpose. I'll move to those who now know purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yes, for youth who have found purpose, I believe it's also the approach with um, having that power. I mean, you really can't. Yes, we can have. We have to have seats at the table. I think that's also one thing that is missing. Sometimes you have to take the seat at the table yourself. You may come off as disrespectful. You may come off as somebody who is going ahead of yourself. But I think there are youth who have found purpose and youth who are still finding the balance between and knowing the times and seasons, to when to put a firm foot forward or when to just relax a bit and then know when to act. I think that is also one important thing. Knowing when to act is very important. So you have youth like myself and certainly Nanabedu who have found a path that we're threading. But sometimes too, it takes you're in the background of things. For instance, I'm someone who is very interested in all the political agendas, making sure that the country is right. But I may be in the back scene of things, also working my way, looking for the right time to act per my timeline. And so I think that is also very very important. Um, I think also with regards to that, decision making is one thing that doesn't have a lot of youth at the forefront. That also has to do with leadership, the older generation as well. I think that's one of the main reasons why we have Oxy here, so that we all have a balance of how to coexist as a generation emerging into places of power as well. Thank you.
That's amazing. And I'm just gonna speak to even everybody that's listening right now, as these two are just spewing these amazing thoughts. I want us to start thinking about how we can identify our purpose and where we are stuck and where we ought to move. And I would love if in the following questions you give us like practical examples of how the youth can actually move in these situations and beyond the theoretical aspects or the self-reflection and finding purpose, the practical steps they can take. So going into the next question, and through your work in government and diaspora engagement, you and Kwamna as well, you think beyond Ghana's borders, and Agenda 2063 imagines a youth-led Africa. But when we bring that vision down to earth, what does self-governance actually look like for young Africans today? And where do you see Ghana fitting into that story? Let's start off with Kwamina this round.
Awesome. I was itching to start. um, it's something I always see. It starts off with partnerships, right? I like to dive into the story of the Tower of Babel, where a united front cannot be broken if unless God comes in between these people. So it's something that I always say that a lot of people like to work in silos, and that's the issue with the African section and youth. I mean, everybody wants to have a whole piece of the cake, especially to be applauded, to be rewarded, but it doesn't work that way. When partnerships are formed, there's higher impact. you're somebody who wants to go into social work, non-profits and social work, you're somebody who wants to put up a government policy, find a group of people who share the same vision, work, have a partnership, and then you can move faster. So that is one thing that I believe that as youth, if we are so focused on having great partnerships and working together, by I mean the agenda 2063, that's something that we're going to have a lot of youth people working on different projects, different programs that are very sustainable. And I think that's one of the best way forward. I believe Nana Bedu has more to share in line with that, and through another section as well. Thank you.
That's so dense and so amazing. Thank you very much. And Nana, we would love to hear your thoughts on this.
I'm trying to get a question. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but
We were asking that Agenda 2063 imagines a youth-led Africa, but when we bring that vision down to earth, what does self-governance actually look like for young Africans today? And where do you see Ghana fitting into that story?
okay. So Agenda 2063, that's the African Union Agenda 2063.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to me, I have a big problem with that. I've been speaking with some of the officials there, and but then uh, how does this have an influence to? I want to understand the question so I can answer the question.
Yes. So we're saying that what does self-governance look like for Africans today?
Huh. Okay, self-governance in Africa to me is becoming a problem day in and day out because from the whole structure of the governance system, we are more or less relying on you know um our neo-colonial masters, and it's having a problem. But then I think it was yesterday I was going through the organizations OX, what is
Oxy?
it? Yeah, Oxy's website, and I chanced on the is it the youth governance, and I saw one thing. I was so amazed. It was like a policy, a 30-year framework trying to explain, the way
Mm-hmm.
governance should be like. And I was so amazed because this is a project personally I'm working on. Is Africa we want is more or less like trying to let the African youth understand, like, listen, the governance systems we have already, it wasn't meant for us. It was some people that made this for us. Our neo-colonial masters made this for us. And they always want us to be slave to this. So it's good first we have something like this. To me, when I saw it, to me, it's like a roadmap. In life, when you have a map, and even you die, or take it like a driver, I want to give a clear example for everyone to understand. If you have a map and you're using the map as a driver and you are tired, you can give your car to your brother or sister, but with the same map, and they'll be able to arrive at the destination you set earlier. Now, here comes we're in a community, a society, or a country where, and whatever I said here is in relation to vision. But here comes we're in a community, a society whereby a government comes and spend like 4 years, they start something, they don't continue. A different government comes and they also start. So I was so glad when I saw that. I'm saying this in relations to letting the youth know there is a need for us to, back the idea of the
Mm-hmm.
OX
Of Oxy.
Oxy, and so we all get to understand the whole vision. So we all work together. This is a collective vision. One person cannot do it alone. We all have to come together and die to self and fulfill this. There's a reality that we might not enjoy some stuff in it, but it's always good to fulfill vision in life because that is what we are all born to be, or we're all born to fulfill a particular vision in life. All right.
Amazing. I'm just going to use this opportunity to thank the founders and the visionaries behind this because indeed we can see that they are doing some awesome work and we look forward to what is ahead. Now we have just about 2 minutes or a few minutes left. So we're just going to be wrapping up here. I feel like a lot of young people feel locked out even before they begin. So where do you see, this is going to be like a dense question. So we're just wrapping up and closing out with action. Where do you see the law and our systems creating opportunities for youth participation? And where are those same systems making it harder? But to also end, I would love for you guys to also give one actionable step that the people who are listening to you can take? Someone in the audience wants to do something civic this week, not when they have more resources, not next year, not waiting to be handed the baton. In one sentence with that one, what can they do?
Ayubata, can you take the first question again? I think it wasn't clear.
Yes, definitely. I was saying that. So I feel like a lot of youth are feeling stuck and locked out even before they begin. So, where do you see the law and our systems creating opportunities for youth participation? And those same systems, where are they making it harder?
Okay, awesome. And the next question.
The next question is actionable steps. The people
Okay,
listening to you want to do something civic. What can they
awesome.
do?
Awesome. With regards to the first question, certainly, I believe there are opportunities that are made available, but one then will say these opportunities are limited. Not even limited in the sense of their availability, but limited in the sense of access, both locally and internationally as well. I believe that youth can certainly have access to these opportunities, but it's also a matter of you preparing yourself for such opportunities. An actionable step would pretty much be as just in your community, educating some young folks about it, also making sure you have a record of it. That is very important, having a record of your engagement, as little
Mhm.
as that engagement may look like. Have a record of your engagement. People get up, make some packs of food and go and share. Certainly not, that's not necessarily civic, a whole topic under civic education or engagement, but something in line with civic education, letting people know what their rights are, what responsibilities they can play in society can be such. You could start a blog. You could have a blog. You could have putting information on your WhatsApp status. You could have a WhatsApp group as well. As little as it is an actionable step. Another actionable step could also be pulling together one or two other people. And I think one important thing is also with regards to structure, especially when it has to do with registrations, where to go to, putting together systems in place to be able to have continuity. Because then, after you've taken these actionable steps with small engagement, you have to know that now you have to be well registered, have a setting a board so that you can have continuous support. So then a lot of people don't do this, and at the end of the day, everything just trickles down again. So that's I believe those are some actionable steps people could take as well.
Awesome. That's awesome. Nana Beju, take us away.
All right. So, in relation to the first question, says I put it down like this: young people feel locked up. What should they do? First, I just want everyone to know the reality of this world is nothing in this world is easy. Nothing in this world is easy. So first, I started with this: know your purpose. When you know your purpose and you have your vision, you always see it on your mind eye. So whatever struggle you are going through, you know you're going to go through this.
Mhm.
You know you're going to go through this. That is one thing to me that has kept me. If you have your vision, you see them on your mind eye. The vision of Oxy, when I read it, I saw it on my mind eye because I know Africa is going to be great. I know Ghana is going to be great. But there is a working mechanism we have to put in place. That is why I always tell people you always have to find your niche. We
Mhm.
are all special. Find your niche, do well to learn about it. There's a saying that says, we don't prepare in a battle, prepare for a battle. Don't give away your preparation.
Mhm.
People are waiting to just go into something and think that it will start working. No, don't let anyone lie to you or don't let anyone say any bad truth to you. The reality is you go through struggles. Even through the struggles, you'll be learning. But the good thing is when you are whatever you are doing, if you are doing it out of vision, out of purpose, you don't really see the struggles that much, but you go through it and at the end you turn back and you then understand the reason why you went through all those struggles. I know it is not easy. I know it is tough, but it's always fulfilling to walk in your purpose. Thank you.
That is amazing. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for. We could sit here discussing this all day. What comes to my mind with all that we've shared is the scripture that says, write the vision, make it plain so you can run with it. And I love that because what we could take away from this session is basically we're not doing this alone, but we have a vision for Africa and we need to be motivated enough to keep that vision so that even when the challenges come, we still keep running. And you've heard some of the actionable steps, but you cannot educate someone on the rights that they have if you yourself don't know the rights that you have. So go and learn something about that today. And I'm going to give the floor back to Lydia. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Iveta. Thank you very much. Thank you to all our wonderful panelists for that thought-provoking discussion on governance and civic education. I am so delighted to also introduce our next speaker. So our next speaker is an entrepreneur. He's also part of the media space and he's a community builder. He's here to talk to us on the topic collaboration, the future for young leaders, builders, and entrepreneurs. Please help me welcome. He is the person, let me mention his name first. He is the person of Rudolph Amwako Akono. Please help me welcome Mr. Rudolph Amwako
Yeah.
Akono. Mr. Amwako, please over to you.
All right. Thank you so much. I want to catch your name again, but thank you so much, host, and thank you, Oxy. Some good stuff. Good stuff. So I have 10 minutes, but please pardon me. Yeah, I have 10 minutes, but please pardon me. I'm going to do 15 minutes. My speech is 15 minutes. I won't go beyond that. I'm just going to read out just what I've written. I just wanted to speak, but I just realized it would be better to write a speech. So let me share my screen so you can follow along. Just give me a split second. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So that's what I want to share with you today. Brilliant submission by the previous speakers as they touched on collaboration and partnership. That was a good one, and then I think it opened the door for me to speak about what I wanted to speak today. So my name is Rudolph Amakwakono, as they said, real estate, business development, community building, prime exchange. These are the things that I do. The future of collaboration. The future of young builders, Rudolph Amakwakono. Yeah. So there's a version of my story that sounds very clean. I wish you could see my face. How do I do that? I started a podcast. I started a newsletter. I started hosting events. Things grew. People noticed. But that version leaves out the most important thing. It leaves out the people. My life is a testament to good collaboration. When we could not afford a studio, it was Gamel who connected us to Ken Wealth. It was Sediji who came to record those first 10 episodes free of charge on 2nd Street Avenue. The first time I genuinely changed the trajectory of what I was building, it was not because I had a better idea. It was because I found myself in a room with someone who saw the same thing I was trying to see. And instead of competing for the window, we stood next to each other and described what we saw. That was not soft. That was not nice. That was the most strategic decision I have made in this work. I still work with Sediji. Sediji runs Seraph Studio now, and Gamel is in the United Kingdom. Tonight, I want to talk to you about collaboration, not as a virtue, as a tool, as an urge. My question to every builder I meet is always the same. Show me the partnerships and collaborations you are cooking, and I can tell you your dream and how far you intend to grow. Collaboration is not a soft skill, collaboration is a growth strategy. It is not about being nice, it's not about being generous or doing somebody a favor. It is about building things that are impossible to build alone. And if there's one thing I have learned across real estate, business development, media, events, community building, it is this. Your future will be determined not only by what you know, but by who you build with. We know the partnership of Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, 70 years building Berkshire Hathaway together. Steve Jobs was brilliant, but let us not forget Steve Wozniak. It has always been the coming together of great people. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah had K.A. Gbedemba, he had Kojo Bosio. Those people were behind him through rain and sunshine. I was reading through Abraham Lincoln. You might think the emancipation story was his alone, but Thaddeus Stevens had fought his whole life for that cause. William Seward, who is my favorite among these packed, brought the political architecture. Lincoln stood in front of the crowd, but there was a plethora of men who had started the cause, pushed the narrative, and made the moment possible. One name in the headline, many hands behind the work. Sam Modro Kakari is in front of this, but I know Reginald, I know the amazing people behind what Oxy is doing. We have been sold a very small version of what collaboration means, and I want to debunk that from the mind of every person in this room today. We think it means splitting credits. We think it means being generous with your platform. We think it means not being selfish. And yes, those things matter. But I want to offer you a different frame. I want you to see things from a different perspective and a different angle. Collaboration is not about what you share, it is about what you can build that you cannot build alone. If you think collaboration is generosity, then your vision is not yet large enough. And I see that as an invitation because there are people in this room right now who can help you carry a build that is far beyond what you can lift alone. What are you trying to build that is genuinely too large for one person? What problem are you trying to solve that requires a perspective you do not have? What door are you standing in front of that you cannot open from where you are standing? That is where collaboration begins, guys. Not in generosity, in honest acknowledgement of limitation. In Ghana, just as the previous speaker mentioned, let me hammer on that again. We have a tendency, and I say this with love because I have done it myself. We want to be the one who started and the one who owns. We want to control the narrative to be the full story. My friend Stanley Hedricker, who runs Uncovered Media, puts it simply: if you own 100% of something small, you think you own it all. But what if through trust and strategic relationships you could own 10% of a million? How could you feel about that? Jay-Z said that in the JQ interview when asked about ownership and partnership. He used his former stake in the Brooklyn Nets as an example. I think everybody should go check out that interview. Amazing one. If I had 0.0001 of the Nets, I won. I had ownership in the basketball team in Brooklyn. Stop measuring wins by size. A small stake in the right thing still makes you an owner. That's the game. Nobody builds anything significant alone. Every successful business is a network. Every successful project is a partnership. Every successful movement is a community. Behind every visible success is a group of people whose strengths complement one another. The future belongs to the builders who understand this early. Let me tell you what I have actually witnessed. Over the last few years, I've had the privilege of creating spaces where people meet each other, sometimes through a podcast conversation, sometimes through a newsletter, sometimes through a live event. And what has surprised me is not what happened on the stage, it is what happened after. I have watched strangers meet at an event and become business partners. I have seen professionals discover opportunities through a single introduction. I have seen people find mentors, investors, collaborators, clients, and friends because they were in the same room at the same time. Many times, the most valuable outcome was not the speaker, it was the connection. It was two people realizing that they were solving different parts of the same problem. And when that happened, something bigger became possible. I watched the conversation between a developer and an architect, two people who came to a Prime Exchange event for completely different reasons, turn into something neither of them could have conceived alone. I have seen newsletter subscribers bond over the same article that we shared with them on Titan's Bullets, reach out to each other because they had different reactions to the same piece and go on to co-found something together. This is what collaboration creates. It multiplies capacity. Let me take that again. This is what collaboration creates. It multiplies capacity. But I've also watched collaborations fall apart spectacularly. As I've spoken about the pros, let me talk about the cons. I have seen two talented people who respected each other professionally destroy a working relationship in 3 months because they never had a single honest conversation about what they each actually wanted from the work. The collaboration felt like a generous cause to one of them, a transaction to the other. They assumed alignment, they never check for it. It is rarely the work that breaks a collaboration. No, it is the unspoken expectations around credit, around decision making, around who speaks for the thing that you are building together. What would I do differently? What is my advice to somebody in this room? I would have the hard conversations earlier. Always have the hard conversations earlier, much earlier, before the stakes are high enough that the conversation feels like a threat. You cannot shortcut trust. Collaborations are built on solid trust. And I want to be specific about what I mean because build trust is advice that sounds meaningful and does nothing. The kind of trust that makes collaboration work is not built by being likable, it's by being predictable, by doing what you said you would do, not perfectly, but consistently. And most importantly, by showing up when you do not have a request. It is built by being honest when something is not working before it becomes a crisis. It is built by showing the person you are building with that your agenda is the shared agenda, not your individual advancement wrapped in the language of partnership. Let me take that again. It is built by showing the person you are building with that your agenda is the shared agenda, not your individual advancement wrapped in the language of partnership. I have learned this specifically. People can feel when you are in a collaboration for the extraction. They may not name it. They may not even be conscious of it, but they pull back. They start hedging. They stop bringing their real ideas into the room. And the collaboration becomes a shell, two people executing together, but not actually building together. The test of real collaboration is what happens when it is inconvenient, when one person has to give more than they take, when the win belongs to one side before it belongs to both. If the collaboration survives, trust me, and if both people choose to survive it, what you have built is something far more durable than a project. You have built a working relationship, and those are rare. Treat them accordingly. You have just had a brilliant conversation about governance, about how systems work, and about who holds power, who makes decisions, and what it takes to change that. Shortly, you will hear about real estate and economic opportunity, about land, capital, and who gets to participate in building the physical landscape of this country. A space that I thrive in, a space that I play in. And the timing is not coincidental, guys. We are in June, watching the intersection of policy and infrastructure play out in real time and feeling its effects on people, on the economy, on nation building. You know what I'm talking about, the floods and the collapsing buildings. I want to give you one thought to carry across both conversations. The gap between a good idea and a changed reality is almost always a collaboration problem. Governance fails not because people do not understand the policy. It fails because the people who understand the problem and the people who hold the authority and the people who hold the resources are in separate rooms, not talking, not building trust, not finding each other. Real estate and economic development work the same way. There are young builders in this room with vision, fantastic, brilliant ideas. There are investors in adjacent conversations with capital. There are people in communities who hold the knowledge of what actually needs to be built. The question has never, and it's not whether those things can come together. The question is whether anyone will do the work of connecting them, bringing the young and the old to the same table. That is part of what we are trying to do with Prime Exchange, creating the infrastructure for the rooms to exist in the real estate industry. And that is what Oxy is doing today. And that is why we are here today. That work is collaboration, not a soft idea, a structural requirement for anything to actually change. Hold that thought as you walk into the next session. Let me bring this home, guys. The most powerful thing that you can do as a young Ghanaian builder right now is not to build in isolation and hope the world notices. Don't fight for that 100% that is too small. Don't be the one who started it but could not finish it. Don't be the one who had to shrink their dreams because they thought they could do it alone. It is to find the right people, the ones who are building toward the same thing you are building toward from a different direction and move with them. Not because it's nice, not because the world will applaud your generosity, because you are trying to build, because what you are trying to build is too important and too difficult to carry alone. Because the window of time we have to build something meaningful and skilled in this country is not unlimited. Because the people you build with will become the most important professional relationships of your life. And because the best version of what you are trying to create almost certainly requires someone in this room today, not tonight, today. I'm not going to give you a long list of things to do. I'm going to give you one thing, one specific concrete thing you can do in the next 30 days. Here it is. Identify one person who is building something adjacent to what you are building. Not the same thing, not a competitor, adjacent. Someone whose work, if combined with yours, would make things stronger. You probably already know who this person is. Their name may have come to mind before I finished the sentence. In the next 30 days, I want you to have one real conversation with a person, not a pitch, not a networking coffee, a real conversation heart to heart where you say, I have been watching what you are building. Here is what I'm building. And I think there is something here. Can we think out loud together for an hour? That is not a partnership agreement, not a memorandum of understanding, not a shared Instagram post. No, none of those. One real conversation. That is how most of the best collaborations I've ever seen begin. I remember that and Chalimunga and what's the name of the other guy I mentioned? His partner, they met over dinner. The agreement was signed on a napkin. That's it. One real conversation. That is how most of the best collaborations I have ever seen begin. From that conversation, one of three things will happen. One, you discover genuine alignment and you begin to build something together. Two, you discover there's no alignment, and that's fine. But you both know something about each other's work that you did not know before. That is not failure, that is intelligence. Three, nothing immediate comes of it, but you have established a real relationship with another serious builder, and those relationships compound. Any of those three outcomes is a win. Look at this room. If the fear from building our goal is our principal adversary, then collaboration is our chief ally. We are the people who we have been waiting for, guys. When our dreams are little, we become little people. Our aspiration becomes meeting the next quarter's target and not losing an account. When we focus on our life solely or making a buck, it shows a poverty of ambition. As David Ogilvy would say, raise your sights, blaze a new trail, compete with the immortals. How great we become depends on the size of our dreams. Let us dream humongous dreams, put on our overalls, go out there and build them. Everyone in this room is here because they are building something or they want to. Everyone in this room has knowledge, relationships, and perspective that someone else in this room needs. The question is not whether the right collaborations exist in this room tonight. The question is whether you'll be the person who initiates them. Not tomorrow, tonight, or today. Before you leave this room, find one person you do not know and tell them what you are building. Not your little, not your title, sorry, not your company name, what you are actually trying to create. See what happens next. That's the future of young builders. Not going it alone, going further. Thank you guys. Thank you for the opportunity. And that's the end of my presentation. Yeah. So that's it. Open chat. Okay. I think that's it. Yeah. So I'm done. That's what I want to share with you people in the room. Thank you, Sam, for putting this together. Thank you for making this happen. I remember when you told me about it that you wanted to do it. I was like, go you, go you, go you, and finally you pulled it off. Super proud of you, brother. And yeah, so that's it. I hand over to the host.
Thank you, Rudolph and Marco. That was a great presentation on collaboration. Now we move straight to our next panel discussion, and we are here to talk on real estate and infrastructure. And this session will be moderated by Hanofori. She'll be joined by Clifford de Graft Teria, Samuel Kweku Manti Jr., and Emmanuel Briggs as our esteemed panelists. So we encourage you to stay engaged. Please share your comments, drop your questions in the chat box, and our panelists will be available to respond and engage with your contributions. Anna, the floor is yours, please.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, Hannah, can you hear us?
Right. So good morning, everyone. Wow, it's been very insightful so far. I mean, I got by the last session and all that he has to contribute. And so he made reference to our panel, which is named as the Real Estate and Infrastructure Building panel, which we're going to be discussing and go into details, all that it entails, and all the submissions that my wonderful guests are going to be presenting. And so my name is Hannah, and I want to officially welcome everyone to the Real Estate panel discussion as well. So I'll give a minute for my guests as well to, introduce themselves. Um, so we can take it from Clifford. You can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Um, Good morning, everyone. Please, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, I want to use this opportunity to thank the organizers of this very impactful, I'll call it, program. And I'd want to say kudos because it's not easy putting such a program together. And thank you very much for having me on the panel. And my name is Clifford Grateria. I'm the co-founder of 840 Real Estate. And yeah, thank you.
Um, yes, we also have.
Uh-huh. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Okay. Thank you, Audrey, for giving me this platform to share with everyone journeys and also advice for you on how to purchase properties and how to start up a real estate. Hannah, thank you so much
Yeah.
for the introduction. The warm welcome. My name is Samuel Okwefumante Jr. I'm the co-founder
Yeah.
for EFSAC Group and Avenue Edge Links. Thank you so much. And Clifford, it's indeed an honor to share a platform with you as well. Read about you. This is my first time meeting, and it's really an honor.
And so, yeah, it's basically what our last but one panelists discussed about collaboration, and it's not been about the talks, but the connections and ideas after the summit. And so, we're also honored to have you guys, you gentlemen, here this morning. And to begin with, how is the industry treating everyone in just a nutshell in our individual functional departments that we're having in the whole real estate sector? We'll start with Samuel.
Mm. Well, right now, I would say it's the market is a bit on and off at the moment. If your market is basically the export rate and stuff, but if your it's the local one, the locals people, it is going on well. But with the real estate that's targeted towards the international market, it's a bit slow now at the moment, just because of one or two things, policies being put in place. But aside from that, things are really going well.
Yeah, they look quite promising. I'm beginning to see. And I also
Yeah.
didn't introduce myself. My name is Hannah Fui, lead realtor as well as the CEO of Handy Homes Realty. And so
Mhm.
likewise, I share every iota of submissions that you guys will be contributing today. And so it's true. The sector is very seasonal, and
Yeah.
we look forward to much prospective
Mm.
sector in the next 5-10 years. And so stay tuned, and you're going to learn a whole lot from this. I promise you. Yes,
Mm.
Clifford. Any word or two with how the sector is treating with your department?
Okay, so thank you very much for the question. I mean, I share the same sentiments. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, so I very much share the same sentiments as you rightly said. But the outlook is good. The industry is promising. Since the current government came into power, things have been a bit stable economically. So investors are returning back to the market and stuff like that. So it's a very promising one, I must say.
Yeah, yeah. I spoke to a client just yesterday, and he
he said there's a lot of goodwill with the country and as well as the ability to invest. And so if you put the right infrastructure and fix all the hitches, this government, which is thriving to do, best believe, yeah. So with the opening statement, I'm supposed to have another gentleman, Mr. Emmanuel. I believe he would join us if he can. But then we just go straight to some of the questions that we would like to know. So I want to throw this question to Clifford, right? Um, Ghana has a significant housing deficit and a growing urban population. That sounds like a massive opportunity. And so, what do you think young people with this issue, right, with the housing deficit, what do you think young people should do or know to make a deal, to know whether it's a good thing or it's a bad thing?
Um, I don't quite get your question. Like, can you please repeat your question,
Um, so I should take the question again, right?
please? Yeah. So you said, if I got you right, you said that there's a there's a current like
Housing,
yes, there's a housing deficit. There's a housing deficit, yes,
good.
and there's a
What,
growing
how do,
population.
yeah. So how do young people take that problem? How do young people take advantage of that?
Okay, simple and short. So, I mean, young people could venture into affordable housing, but that also is a conversation for another day
Another
because,
day.
first of all, yes, because first of all, land prices are crazy. You know, the prices of land in urban Accra are very exorbitant. So, we definitely need some government, some private and government participation, but it's still not far fetched, you know. It's still not far fetched. If we look at the up and coming areas that are like close to Accra, um, if we look at Oyarifa, you can look at Dodowa, you can look at Oyibi, you can look at some of these areas. And I mean, and I think the last time I checked, the prices of land in such areas were between 50,000 to 100,000 Ghana cedis, depending on what the land is. So what a young person can do is to uh, Rudolph made mention of collaboration. So what we can do is to collaborate. I mean, if three friends or a group of friends could come together and put some monies together, I'm sure they can afford a piece of land. Then they can look at putting up one or two structures. Then they can contribute to reducing the deficits in the so they can look at contributing significantly to reducing the housing deficit. So, yeah, I think that is one way by which young people can tackle the current housing deficit.
Yeah, and so just like the last speaker spoke of this collaboration, I think you're spot on. Um, that's been a problem that you can take, and then collaborating with a group of friends. It doesn't necessarily mean you alone have to solve that deficit issue, but building a team, meeting up friends that you think are in the same mindset as you are doing, and then
Yeah,
helping solve Ghana problem. I'm not gonna nag the whole day. The government is just constitute. I think the government's decision doesn't even reach about let me see 100,000 people. We are about 35 million, right? And so we can't
yeah,
sit here all day. As young people, we've been able to notice these are the problems in the real estate sector, and just like Clifford mentioned, building a team and collaborating and contributing in any small way that you can, in order that we can address all these issues ourselves in infrastructure. Thank you, Clifford. So Samuel, right? Is he
Yeah,
with us?
I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think is one of the most important things that young Ghanaians need to understand in the real estate sector? I feel like there are some misconceptions. What do you think some of
Yeah.
the things that you know entering the real estate? Everybody think we are rich. I don't for whatever reason.
Yes. Yes. But
What do you think they
you know, growing up, my grandfather was also into real estate. So growing up, we used to buy properties in some odd areas growing up. Like I remember when we bought on the main Regimano, opposite Regimano, he bought a land in Regimano. years back and was very, 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 very bushy. And I was like, anytime we go on site, I get upset. I'm like, when is this place going to be open? Can you hear me? It's like the line is breaking. Can everyone hear me clear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can. We
Okay.
can.
Yeah. So I was like, what are we going to do here? When is this place going to develop? But he did his research in a way that I think when we venture into real estate, we skip, a lot of people skip that step. That Ghana, we always say Ghana, it's not planned, it's actually planned. So if you want to venture into real estate, you go to town and country planning. There's areas that are zoned for all this. Like in future, Ghana wants to move housing, affordable housing here. In future, there's going to be a highway over here. In future, there's going to be a big government project over here. So he saw those opportunities. He went to do his research, and then he saw that all these opportunities are in this certain areas. So he bought the land very, very, very cheap, and very, very cheap. And you can also speak to the natives over there. Sometimes we can acquire the land from the chiefs at a very, very good price. Good price. So it doesn't have to be central Accra or to get something. Everybody that wants to venture into real estate is also thinking about only Accra or maybe East Legon, Airport Residential, all these prime areas. And if you are looking at that, you think that the prices are crazy and you feel like you can never afford any property or anything. And they also look at it that I'm buying it now and I'm getting returns tomorrow. They don't really, the youth or people that want to invest in real estate now don't really look at the bigger picture that maybe in the next 5 years, the next 10 years, this place, I'm buying it now. I want to wait 10 years and I'll even get maybe times 10 or times 15 of the actual value I bought it for, which is better than investing with maybe in a bank or doing something. People don't see it that way, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely
Yeah,
understand.
yeah. So So back to what I was saying from the beginning, for example, that land that was bought in Regimano, not right now, the main Spintex Road is being constructed on that stretch. And that land that we bought for maybe $10,000 for an acre is now worth 2.5 million today. And within the span of 10 years, and 10 years will come in like this. So if young entrepreneurs are trying to venture into real estate, they should also look at places that have potential in future, like maybe on the maybe let me use Dodowa for example, because if after that road is being constructed, I think you can't buy land in Dodowa like the price that you get today, if Clifford will agree with me.
Yes, that's true. I mean, one of the factors that really influences the prices of land is infrastructure. So once the road is done, prices are going to skyrocket.
Yes, so they should just look at places that are going to be um, developed not
Yeah,
just tomorrow, but in future as well. Like maybe the next 10 years, 5 years. You could
yeah,
buy it cheap now, sell it for big profit.
yeah. I agree. I think Hannah dropped
Mhm.
off the call.
Oh, she's back. Oh,
Can you hear me?
yeah.
Yeah, she's back now.
Yeah, we lost you for a second.
Yeah, I think I was getting a little bit of feedback from my end. But that was a wonderful submission. I follow with through my tablet as well. And so I believe there's a lot of opportunities like you were mentioning, but it takes the right eye, mind, and vision to equally see.
Yeah,
Um, a lot of people go into land banking and all sort of. And the real estate in itself is a broader subject. Everybody thinks it's a
yeah,
matter of building and selling. There's a lot of technical departments to it. And just like you mentioned, I think those are areas that young people can focus on as we speak. And so thank you
yeah,
so much for that. So Clifford, back to you. We knew that Clifford manages almost about 50 properties across Ghana. What are the property wealth investing actually looks like in 2026? And how do you know the difference between a good or a bad deal or a bad investment? So take us away.
Okay, so I could barely hear you.
Yeah,
What's the difference between
same here.
good deal and bad deal?
Your line keeps on breaking, but I could barely hear you. But can you repeat yourself again one more time?
Yeah.
Okay. So I stated that the fourth, right, manages 50 properties across Ghana, and so to you, what does it in 2026? What does investing look like to you? And also, what is the difference between what would you require consider as a good investment or a bad investment? What does investment in 2026 look like to you? And also, what's the difference to you between a bad investment and a good investment? I mean,
Okay, so
in your price.
okay, so thank you for the question. So, what's the difference between a good deal and a bad deal? Okay, so each year the real estate market has its own trend. So, for instance, last year could be like a very good year for the residential market, and the previous year could be like a very good market for the commercial markets. But I think 2026 is looking more commercial because of the kind of transactions we have closed. So 2026 looks like a very good year for the commercial market. If I say commercial, I'm talking office spaces, I'm talking warehousing and all of that. But what makes a good deal from a bad deal? So first off, I would say that one mistake, one very big mistake people often make is not to conduct their due diligence before acquiring property. So let's say you want to acquire land. The first thing is to first of all to request, like put in your request for the site plan. Then you go to the lands commission. Then you go run a search. But then again, after you run the search, that's not all. You'd have to follow up at the court, so to clear the land of any any disputes or
Yeah.
yeah, so you are sure that the land doesn't have any disputes or any other unforeseen hurdle. So after you conduct the due diligence, you'd have to now enter into. Sorry. Let's see.
Okay, we
Mm.
Is
can.
it?
Yeah. Okay, that was he was making very good points on that assertion. So Samuel, I think you reconnect back to us. What would
Yeah.
you invest in 2026? What sector or what would you invest in the real estate sector in 2026?
In 2026, I'll tell everyone that wants to do something, go for commercial spaces. Commercial. I agree with Clifford. Commercial is the year for 2026.
Yeah.
2026 the year for commercial. Because yeah, because now let's look at if you pass in East Legon back then now and then now you could see everywhere the shops and it's going like crazy.
Yeah.
It's going like crazy. If you build something like commercial space, office space, it's going crazy because the demand is really, really high. There are more entrepreneurs coming in the in the system. So more companies trying to invest in Ghana. So commercial spaces is the best. And also before that, you have to also do your due diligence, as Clifford was saying, because you have to go get the site plan, do the right for go to lands commission, check, then you go to the court to see if the person that owns that property hasn't there's no collateral for a loan, it's not there's no family drama on the land, there's government hasn't compensated to build a project on that land. Because what people turn out to do is some Ghanaians I would put to are very, very cruel and very, very, very evil. For example, a client was someone was trying to sell to my client um, a commercial space in Pukwase some years back, not knowing government has compensated that client, that person, to construct maybe a road on the shops, and they've already paid the person out, and he was re trying to sell it again to somebody, and this the I when the deal came it was so good to be true. So my client, oh let's buy it before we lose the opportunity. I was like, nah, this deal was so good to be true. Something by main road, um, good location, and I see it was just so good to be true. So what Clifford was saying is that you have to do your background, you do your due
Very
diligence and stuff. Yeah, very, very, very important.
Okay, so Clifford, I was asking Sammy what his in 2026 what he would personally venture in, and likewise he mentioned the commercial space that you are talking about. I mean, I wasn't shocked to actually notice one of our off-plan projects, which is, if you know, Euphoria, right at West Cantonment, by one of these developers. It's a two-tower building. One is for residential, the other is strictly going for commercial, and so if they are identifying it, I think you're spot on. And so,
Yeah.
very insightful. Lastly, I'm just going to ask, what has been some of your major challenges in the industry and what are you doing to fix it? This question goes to both of us and we'll wrap it up in a nutshell. Should I take it again? So, and then I'll go with
Yeah.
Clifford. What has been
Okay,
some of
sure.
your challenge? Okay.
Sorry about that. I encountered a bug. So, what are some of the challenges? I mean, there are a lot of challenges in our space, but I mean, one major challenge is finding the exact property that fits your client's taste. So, I mean, there are a lot of properties that are in the market, but but then again, a lot of these properties are also not up to the standard that some clients are looking out for. So it makes the whole renting or purchasing process very tiring because you can see like very uh, sorry, you can see properties in very prime areas, cantonments, East Legon, Chado, and the likes. But the developer didn't build with intention. So the price they are quoting is about between 2,000 to 5,000 USD, or let's say $300,000 to about $1 million. But you enter and you are disappointed. So I think we need some we need to have a conversation with some of these developers because they really make our work difficult. But then again, there are also some developers out there who are like really on top of their game. So yeah, that's one of the major challenges.
Yeah, that was definitely. I even had a client that came to ask for, he wanted 12 two-bedrooms in one building and ready by December. I mean, trying to get the need at a go could
Yeah,
be preposterous, but that's what we're dealing with, and we're finding ways to address it. And if that does not suit it, we make sure that we go the long run to actually sit them down and give them the thesis of the market and give them
yeah.
other alternatives. So, very lovely. I wouldn't waste much time. So, we'll take it from Samuel. What has been some of your challenges and what are you doing to address it?
Hmm. Some of the challenges that I've faced so far is credibility, rejection, competition, and being consistent. Consistency. Yeah. And also, um, when you want to show people not being straightforward, people not being straightforward. Yeah.
So,
So
yeah,
credibility and yeah, those are the
yeah.
challenges that I'm facing and I've faced. But I've learned a lot along the line. So yeah,
I think every rejection is actually a step forward to. I see
yeah,
it as another way of turning the situation around and seeing what you're doing.
yeah,
Somebody might be able to be in the real estate. You can accept any rejection from any
Mm,
job and
yeah,
employment. I mean, unlike the developed countries that have like pre-approved systems, so nobody wastes your time. They have escrow
yeah,
accounts, infrastructure. It's quite easier, but I feel like
yeah,
I like that we are in Ghana, which is under construction. Okay, so
yeah,
then be have a seat at the table because you've experienced a lot of these problems and
yeah.
you've dealt with them, and so I like that the system is building and we are growing with it and we are young and we're gonna have a lot of opportunities to it. All right, it's been lovely speaking to you, gentlemen, this morning, this brunch. And so I want to say thank you so much. Any last words, anyone? Any of you? Any last words?
Oh,
Clifford,
yeah.
any last or advice?
Okay, so my last words are, you only miss out on very, very exciting opportunities to invest if you don't invest now. Because if you don't invest now, 5 to 10 years from now, you'll be gnashing your teeth. So speak to a professional today so you are guided on which deals you can hop on immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Someone?
Yes. I would say invest now. It doesn't have to be Accra. It can be outside Accra. It can start small. Just get, even if it's a piece of land in, if look, somewhere like if I was a young person now with the money, I would look at somewhere like Pegiase. Look at how Pegiase is growing so fast. So then I'll be looking to the neighboring towns or further up because if see, let's take something like Safari Valley, for example, in Edukrom, nobody would have gone there. But right now, you can bring value to the place and then you can determine the price of that place now. If you are the first to be there, just do something crazy on the land. That's mind blowing. And now it will attract people. And now you would even be the one, the go-to person. Yeah. So,
I would
yeah.
also say seek a realtor in order to avoid
Mm,
most of the
mm,
unrecoverable mistakes. So,
mm.
as a realtor, you can seek me, you can seek Clifford,
Eh,
you can seek someone as well.
yes. Credible ones. No, no agent. No agent.
Yes, a router. There's a difference.
Yeah.
I the difference
Yes.
that day, but I think by time our time is up, and they would want other panelists to enjoy the conversation as well. So, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Host, we're gonna revert back to you and take us away.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Hannah. And thank you to our panelists for enlightening us about real estate and infrastructure in Ghana. Ghana has a plan, so the next time you are building, build within the plan and don't build in waterways. So we have another panel discussion. I'm always happy about panel discussion because it's where we give the platform for various minds to come on board and share their thoughts and their perspective on a topic. So we have another discussion, and this session will be moderated by Mame Obinewa, and she will be joined by Majid Suhuyini, Kwame Koda, and Ama Edi as the panelists. So be ready to gain more knowledge about how digital platforms are reshaping and they are creating opportunities for the youth. Please do not forget to ask questions, share in your thoughts, ask any question in the comment section, and be part of the discussion. And our panelists will be very happy to answer every question that you give. So, Amami, over to you.
Hi, good morning. I hope everyone can hear me. All right. Hi, good morning, and you're welcome to the Media and Creator Economy panel. My name is Mami Obenawaposompem. I will be your moderator for today. Today, I'll be joined by three brilliant minds who are making tremendous strides in their respective fields. First, we have Majid Suhumini, who is an actor, filmmaker, and the founder of Suhu Studios. We also have Kwame Koda, who is a visual artist as well as the creative mind behind the Sandman series. And finally, we have Ama Adidakun Seidu, who is also a founder of Big Fat African Development, as well as the chief content officer of AfroTunes. You're welcome, Ama, Kwame, and Majid. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Okay, so we'll just jump straight in. In one sentence, what do you make or do, and what did it take to make that into a business?
Who goes first? Who is the question for?
Oh, Majid first. Sorry, Majid first, then Kwame, then Amma. Yes.
All right. I hope everybody can hear me, and pardon me for not having my video on. We have a power cut due to the heavy rains this morning. But yeah, thank you so much for this panel session, and thank you for having me. I appreciate the platform. So, sorry, what's the question again?
The question is, in one sentence, what do you do, and what did it take to make that into a business?
So, in one sentence, I would say I'm an actor and a filmmaker. What did I do to make this a business? Is just by understanding that right now creativity can put food on my table. At a point in my career, I realized that okay, if I'm being paid 1,000 cedis to appear on screen, then that means
Mhm.
that if I with determination, if I push harder, I can be
Yes.
paid 30,000. You know, I can be paid 5,000, and that means that I could turn that into a business, and then gradually evolved into not just being in front of the screen, but also thinking about ownership or thinking about starting my own business within the media space, and that is how I grew.
Okay. Interesting. All right, I'll move to Kwame. Kwame, I can't hear you. I do not know if it's just me. Is it everyone else?
Yes, I thought it was just me. So I think
Okay.
they have to turn on their microphones. There's an
Yeah.
on and off down, you turn it on.
Yes. Left corner. And Amma, I don't think we can hear you either. So I believe it's best to rejoin. Kwame, can you kindly rejoin as well? Yes. All right. So
Hello, can you hear
yes,
me?
Kwame now. Majid, can you please speak?
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay. All
Okay.
right, I can hear Majid and Amma. No, I cannot hear you.
Wow.
All right. So whilst we wait for Amma, Kwame, you can continue.
Okay. So how I was able to turn this into a business, right? That's the question.
Yes, yes. What do you do and
Okay.
how to turn it into a business?
Okay. So I'm a photographer, director, installation artist. I'm more of a multidisciplinary artist. But all
Okay.
this started off with photography. I started taking pictures with my phone. My whole life I've been a multi I've had so many talents: drawing, painting, singing, rapping, dancing, basketball, swimming. Like there's so much that I know how to do. And when I was completing high school, I felt that I have to be able to bring everything down into one thing that I can do. And at that time, I didn't have money to buy a Wacom tablet to continue my drawing because I felt like we're going into a digital world. So I had some drawings that I used to do in I'll draw on a paper and I'll put lines on it and I'll sell to students so they could write their letters in it. I was able to save some money from that and I bought a Samsung phone which I started my photography with. So I started doing phone photography and then at the same time I was also good with graphic design. So I was using my phone, I was using Pixart, I was using Photogrid to design posters for events. And that was also bringing me some money in. And then what happened was I did the photography for some time. It was getting better. And then I started renting and borrowing cameras to shoot for people. And then I was making money from it. But then the people will come to me and they'll ask for videos, they'll ask for graphic design, they'll ask for so many different things. And then I thought, okay, I could do this, but I could also hire other people to do it. There has to be a name for it. And I learned I could have a creative agency. So how I've been making money from this is with every skill that I have, I've been able to create systems or let me say companies that I run these things under. So for instance, my photography and my creative direction ability, I put that on my creative agency. So I take on a whole project and then I play the role of an executive producer or photographer. And I have other people too as well. In terms of my ability to direct, I created a video production company that I also play the executive producer role, sometimes the director, and then we carry on projects from Ghana, outside, worldwide, and that is how I've been able to make money, or let me say, make this thing, monetize this thing by creating systems and companies that I run my projects through. Yeah.
So it's strategic.
Yeah, strategy. Yeah.
So we are still missing Amma. I will.
Hello, can you hear me now?
All right, she's joining us now. All right, Amma, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Mommy
Majis,
says,
can you hear Amma?
Yeah,
Yes, I
I
can
can hear
hear.
Yeah.
okay, so it's only
Okay,
mommy
so
who
maybe
can
then
hear.
it's me because I can't
No, I
hear
can,
her.
and
can.
I think Majid can also hear her.
Okay.
Yes,
so
I can
maybe
hear loud and clear.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm not sure.
But I can't hear her.
Wow.
Well, then
Okay.
Yeah, we all can
Amma,
hear
can you
you.
hear the
So
host?
I can hear mommy, I can hear everybody.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me hear you again.
Bill says she can hear me.
All right. Give me 2 minutes or 2 seconds. Let me go off and rejoin. Maybe I'll be able to hear her. Just 1 minute.
Okay.
Thank you.
Apologies to the people watching for the
Hey.
technical. Yes, I think so. Oh, are we all gone? Can you still hear us?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're here.
Okay, sorry, just while mommy is gone, I know that she asked a question that I wasn't able to answer before, so maybe just to fill the gap. She asked what was one
Right.
sentence to describe what we do, and what was the question? How we made it into a business?
Right.
That's the
What
question.
you do and how you made into a business.
Okay, all right. So my name is Amma. I'm the host and co-founder of Big Fat African Developments, and we are very new. We started 3 months ago. Oh,
Okay.
Hi, mommy. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you perfectly now.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. I was just getting ready to answer your initial question.
Yes.
what we do and how we decided to make it into a business. So Big Fat African Development is only about 3.5 months old, so it's very young. But we have made quite an impact in the last few months in terms of kind of the conversation that we're generating online, in terms of infrastructure in Accra, but also just the amount of followership, almost at 100,000 across our platforms. So I think for us, or for me and for us, it's my husband and I are a joint team who are building it together. It really came down to, from the very beginning, we wanted to know how to make sure that, since our main goal is to build a citizens movement here in Ghana, where we can solve our toughest problems together, how do we make sure that this is financially sustainable from the beginning? Which means that we have to think of 3 streams of income. You have to either monetize in platform, you have to have brand partnerships and deals, or you have to create a digital product or a product that you can give to your audience. So those are the 3 ways we're thinking of sustaining it, but we're still very much in our infancy.
Okay. Okay. All right. That's very impressive. Okay. So, to our next question. So, there's a moment in every creative person's journey, right, where they decide to treat the work as a business rather than a passion. What would you say that moments look like for each of you, and what did that cost? I'll go with Majid first, and then Amma, then Kwame.
Sorry, what's the question again?
Okay, so the question again, I'll take it slow. So there's a moment in every creative person's journey, right, where they decide to treat the work like a business rather than a passion. So what did
A
that moment
passion,
look?
right?
Yes, what did that moment look like for each of you, and what did that cost you?
So for me, as a just like Kwame said, growing up, I've always been a creative. I tell you what, I started writing scripts when I didn't even know that there was something such as scripts. Where somewhere in GHS, I would have my exercise book where I would write, and it wasn't even like formatted into the final draft kind of format, but it would just be like, oh, I've heard that Amma is speaking, and I'll write Amma, and I'll write Amma's sentence. I'll hear Kwame speaking, and I'll write Kwame, and then I'll write, and below it I'll write Kwame's dialogue. I didn't know it was a thing. So imagine my surprise when I realized that somewhere high school, I realized that boom, there's actually a big market out there, a film industry, that I could go and then, establish myself. So for me, it moved from just doing it as, I don't know how to say it, but it felt kind of spiritual for me at the beginning, because I didn't know what I was doing. I will write a lot of them, and then sometimes I'll even play those characters. I'll say this person's line, I'll say this person's line. I will be like, oh wow, nice conversation, just as a kid. And then finally, I made my way to Accra, all the way from Tamale to Accra, and then I realized that, okay, now there's a structure to this thing. So I didn't just start by, you know, doing that. I had to now enroll myself into a film school, first of all, to get the proper structure and also to polish myself very well. And then after film school, I realized that, okay, this is the time to make this a business. So it wasn't just like I just started from home and then I didn't take any steps towards it. I needed to take steps towards it. Make sure I polish my skills very, very well, because I felt like it was an investment at that time. And we all know the more you invest in something, the more you value it. So sitting in the classroom, paying school fees and all of that. Now, when I'm out there, I know that I can charge people, and I also have the confidence to charge people because I know that I have put in the work, and not just that. It moves from you just starting as a basic creative into now taking up space within the industry. So moving from an actor and then also now to running my own production company, that was the click for me, to make this a solid business. But when I started, it wasn't as lucrative as it is now. It was just a thing of chance. It was just a thing of a leap of faith, I would say, because there were a lot of young actors giving up. Even the matured actors that we knew, a lot of them were not. They were not really established like that. You see the thing where you idolize someone and then you meet them and then it doesn't reflect in their life. as a celebrity, So for me, it just informed me that I needed to be smart about this. It's not always about the red carpet and all of that. I needed to have a solid foundation, hence Soul Studios. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Majid. All right, Amma.
For me, the shift came when I was working a full-time job. I've been working full-time jobs my whole life. I've never been like a creator only, which is what I'm doing now. And I was working with a company in New York, and I had a baby. And during maternity leave, I was laid off with a lot of other people, tech space, all that. So I remember just sitting down and thinking. I said, when I start doing something again, first I want to do my own thing, but then I don't want to go in with kind of like rose tinted glasses. I want to go in. I have to think of it from the very beginning, as this is something that should be financially sustainable. This is something that should fill me up in terms of also the passion. I didn't think of it as you have to do one or the other. I was like, I'm going to do something I'm passionate about, and I will make enough money to sustain myself, my family, and the dream of what I'm building. So that was the first mindset shift. But then also it just meant that we have to be very strategic about building systems from day one. So, for example, the first video that we posted was about building with mud, and maybe we should be building African cities with mud as opposed to concrete to make sure that it's like more breathable and more suited to our climate. And I didn't expect that video to I didn't know it would do as well as it did. But as soon as I realized what it was, I had to put in structures and systems. We have to get on an editing stream. We have to get on the script writing. All those systems needed to be built as soon as possible to sustain what it is long term. So I think when you think of passion or business, I think maybe that may sometimes be a false dichotomy. You can do what you're passionate about, but if you think about it from a systems mindset from the beginning, you can and will see the profits or bear fruits financially and for passion as well.
Okay. All right. Okay. Kwame.
Yeah, for me, I think I've always been intrigued about the idea of scaling businesses or scaling up a service-based business. And I thought about the fact that for me, the way I do things is I normally have like a long term and I break it down into where I am. So my long-term plan, I have like a 45-year plan of who I'm supposed to be and where I'm supposed to be in the next 45 years. So I thought about what might be the best ways to get there. And then I realized that if I wanted to be able to scale up my business, I need to be able to look into the details and identify what are my expertise, what are my clients, what's the size of the market, how can I reach them, and how can I keep building that. And as I'm building, I'm bringing up more people in, and I'm also churning out some sort of employment, and then also scaling up and then opening up. And there's this thing I always say to my friends. I feel like it took a bunch of doctors, or let me say engineers, to sit down and say, we are going to make African mothers believe that being a doctor or being an engineer is the best thing to do. So I feel like as a creative, we need to be able to come to that space where we can let people understand that this is not just something you pick up a camera or you wake up and you just go and do whatever you want, but there are ways that you can actually monetize this thing and build a system in a way that you can also put your family and yourself in the best position as possible. So that mindset shift came from there. And I've never had a job in my life. I've been financially independent since I was 18, and currently I'm 28 now. So I've been doing this. I've been doing my own exhibitions. I've been flying out the country. I've been around the world. I've been I've been doing based on the understanding of having like a system or having like a company that takes care of everything. So that is where I am at, because I'm still trying to scale up and I'm trying to find ways to divert proceeds, and also find a way to make this thing sustainable, because this business is very tricky. It's not like the kind of business that you say, oh, I'm going to leave this for my kids to take on, because your kids might decide they want to do something else. But as I'm growing, I'm trying to find ways to meet my future self. So I hope that answers the question. And yeah, that was where the mindset shift came from.
That really answers the question. All right, so back to you, Kwame. So the Sandman series, right? It has gone from a creative concept, like you mentioned, you've done a lot of exhibitions, and then now it's gone to international audiences in London. I want you to walk us through how that happened, not the pitch deck version, but the real sequence of decisions behind the idea.
Yeah. So I have a very weird idea of myself, right? The idea that I have of myself is I'm more or less like a smaller version of God, right? And
Okay.
in that sense, he's giving me a lot of things to like take inspiration from to make myself close to him. And that
Mhm.
thing being the sea, the sun, the sky, and all of that. So there's this thing that I do every Sunday. I would normally go to the beach to watch the sunset, right? And
Mhm.
with my creative agency, we help a lot of people build brands and everything. And I was like, I'm helping people build brands, but I don't have my own brand. So why don't I create something for myself? And at that time, I was looking at the sunset, and a sentence came into my mind. People always say the sky is the limit, and I'm like, okay, what if I want to go beyond the sky? What if I want to touch the sun? So I'm going to make the sun my symbol. So that's where the idea of the orange thing came, or the sun thing came from. But how I make meaning of that is, if everybody says they want to touch they want to hit the sky, and I want to go for the sun, that means I have to do things above the norm. And in doing that, I have to be able to also inspire people to do the same, because especially for the continent we find ourselves, if I
Mhm.
have to be the best version of myself, I want to inspire a doctor to be the best version of herself, him or herself. I want to inspire a teacher to do same. I want to inspire a politician, whatever. So what will happen is that if I'm sick, I don't have to travel to the UK to have the best medical access. I can access that from the best person here. If I want to watch the best films, I can watch the best film because we have the best actors here. It's like I can experience the best version of life at where I am, because everybody is trying to be the best version of himself. So that person or that personality is who I call the Sandman. And for a long time, I have been calling myself the Sandman because of the whole orange thing. People see me, anytime people see the sun, they take a picture and they tag me. And I was
Mhm.
like, okay, I don't. The main idea of this thing is not for me to say I'm a sun man and I'm trying to touch the sun, but I want everybody to do that. So the idea of that project was to expand the idea of Sandman beyond myself, to say you are a Sandman, she's a Sandman,
Mhm.
he's a Sandman, all of us are Sandmen, because we are trying to become a better version of ourselves, and all of us are pushing, are trying to reach for a goal, and we are trying to become our ideal self. So it's a message that I'm trying to share for the rest of the world, but specifically for my African people or my Black people. And I believe China has had their seat at the table. America has had their seat at the table. I think it's time for Africa to have our seat at the table. And I feel like Afrobeats is doing that. But we have so many sports to fill, and we have so many people to come on board, so that we can let the world know that we also have something. And to end that, I say this thing to my friends, that it might be that if Africans were supposed to be we are supposed to be, it might be that
Mhm.
we are not even supposed to be driving cars. We are supposed to be creating something that maybe it slides or something. Like, we have our way of seeing things. Even Amma mentioned the thing about the buildings. That's the something I'm looking into. Like, we have a way that our buildings are supposed to work for our climate and work for our people. Like, we have ways that are supposed to be conducive for us and is supposed to be for us. But that can only happen when we are trying to become the best version of ourselves. So that is the message I'm trying to preach, and that is the information I'm trying to, put outside there. That's the whole thing about the Sandman.
That is very interesting. For Amma and Majid, what was the equivalent sequence in your own journeys?
Could you repeat the ultimate question again, just so we have the context for what you're asking?
So the context is you're walking us through how your ideas happened, like the sequence of decisions.
Mhm.
So I want to know what the sequence was like before you arrived at what you do now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, I can go. So personally for me, and was not personally for me. I'm sure everyone on this panel has had their frustrations living in Ghana, living in Africa, feeling like we are behind where it feels like we should be, given the kind of ancestral knowledge that we have, given the human potential and the capital of the continent, and how the people that you know, your own friend group, when you think of the brilliance and the things that they come up with, it feels like, why are we in this position when we have all this brilliance around us? And I think I've been thinking about that for a long time. And my husband as well. We started dating actually because we used to have these long drawn conversations about our dreams and visions for our continent and what we think we could build. And I think last year, maybe I think it's also maybe an epiphany of having a child and then realizing that this child will grow up in the world that we create. I just sat there and said, this cannot be it. I just think we all need to do better. And also, I think it's important that we stop saying government needs government. I was like, "Pachawa banga bre." The government, even when your government is working perfectly, efficiently, without any issues, without corruption, all that stuff, there's a lot of work that needs to be done because we're an African, we have a lot to catch up with. So when it comes to the sequence of events, it came first from frustration, but I've always been the kind of person who believes that you cannot end at frustration. Frustration must always be channeled into action. And you have to be, and I want to be part of that action. So what is it that we do? And one of the things that we do, one of the things I realized on the social media platforms across the board, when people, even African creators, were talking about Africa, we're mostly focused on naming the problem. But naming the problem doesn't help us to get closer to the kind of ideal utopia that we want to build. So the way that we do that is by being the solution ourselves, which is why Big South African Development, though it started as a media platform where we're sharing ideas and solutions, where eventually we are building a citizens movement where everybody can be involved in the solutions that we are talking about and building that together. So that's how the sequence started.
Yeah.
Frustration turned into action.
That's a good one. Okay. Majid.
All right. So my sequence started from the love of northern Ghana. So, like I said, I'm a Northerner. I'm a Dagomba from Tamale, and then I realized that there has been or there hasn't been enough northern content when you think about it within the mainstream Ghanaian content, and also mostly when we talk about northern content is giving a certain light as to how mostly how Hollywood is also picturing Africa, So when you come down and then you stop at Accra, there's also a certain light how the north is pictured, It's either maybe like cattle farm, poverty, and
Right.
all of that. So Soul Studios, I decided to birth Soul Studios to change the narrative. I'm working on it. I still haven't been able to hit the ultimate goal, but that is the just like Kwame was saying, when you have like a four plan, you sit down and you plan and then you take your micro steps towards it. So for me, that was it for me because growing up there, even to pursue this career or this dream, I had to leave that space because there wasn't even enough infrastructure or enough system to pursue it. So I said to myself that no, sometimes in order to save home, you have to leave home, because the tools to save home might not be at home at the moment. So you end up getting drowned, into that same system you're trying to save. So I had to leave home. I had to make the decision and say, okay, I need to leave home, because I want to take entertainment back north, where it's like we have big movies, and then the thing is that we have great stories. I'm sure Kwame, as a photographer, would tell you the landscapes over there, how beautiful they are, but we still don't see them in mainstream. If Ghana, we're gonna see what's the name? Villaggio buildings, and that is the symbol of Ghana. You get what I mean? But for me, I was like, no, I want to tell stories. I want to tell Dagbani stories. I want to tell stories from the north where people can relate to it. So for me, that was just the beginning of my decision. That was the context of it. That was what sparked this whole dream. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're changing the world's perspective of the North. Yes?
Right. Right.
All right. Thank you very much, Majid. Amma. So, Amma, you spent 6 years at TED, and then you chose to build here in Africa. What did you learn about building content institutions that made you believe that it would be possible to do it from here?
Oh, that's a good question. So, so I spent 6 years at TED. I was in New York at the time. And I think for me, when the good thing about working at a company like TED, where they're talking every day, they talk about ideas, every day they talk about solutions, is that you get it into your head that almost anything is possible. Because the thing is, I think sometimes Africa, as a continent, we can feel a bit sorry for ourselves. But I can I can tell you that there are people working with far fewer resources, achieving far more than we are, just from having. And I was just exposed to so much of that. Like if you think of places like Bhutan, Bhutan has very little resource, but it's creating one of the world's best ecological societies, and it's
Yeah.
making it easy for young people to thrive. And and they have way less than we do. So I think for me, it was never a question of is it possible for Africa to do it. It was about who is going to do it, and will I or will I not be part of that change. Um, in terms of creating institutions, I think that's the thing I learned the most was if you don't have structures and systems, you will fail because without structures and systems, you cannot scale. And any problem in Africa, if you're trying to solve any problem, you have to be thinking about it at scale. If you're not thinking about it at scale, it's not going to work. Because how many people are on this continent? 1.7 billion at the moment. And I think if your problem is not going to try and address at least in the millions, then if your solution doesn't address at least in the millions, then it's not a big enough drop in the bucket. And no, you don't have to start from thinking about the millions, but whatever solution you're thinking of should always have this kind of ripple effect. Even if it only affects 10 people in the room, how do those 10 people then become the wave that then affects millions? So in terms of creating, being a part of systems that were content systems that were built abroad, I always knew, and I've never wanted to live abroad. It has never been, no matter the problems of my continent and problems of the country, I've always known that this is my home and this is where I would end up. And so I've actually known it since I was a child that I used to want to be president of Ghana. That was the thing I would write in my nursery books when I was like 3, 4. I was like, oh, yes, as the president, I would do this and that and this. But I know now that being a president is not necessarily the best way to, or the only way to make change. You can make change also as a group of citizens who can do things together. So yeah, I hope I answered the question. Sorry, I'm coming up with the flu. Sorry. I hope I answered your question. Let me know if there's anything else that you want to know.
Thank you very much. To Majid and Kwame, what is one piece of infrastructure missing in Ghana's creator economy that would change what's possible for creators?
This is a very weird question for me because for me, I've always been that kind of person that I've never been into taking support from outside of myself, right? But what I've seen is what I've noticed is, especially when I travel outside, is there are people who need your services or people that need your stuff, right? Especially for our country, right? There's one thing that I'm trying to tackle, which I think I would definitely need government input. For instance, we don't have a Kwame Nkrumah film. I keep telling people that the biggest problem we have in this country it's lack of information and it's our mindset. It's not necessarily money. We have a mindset problem, and I believe those mindsets can be changed when we are exposed to the right information. And we don't have to go anywhere for that information. We just have to look back. We had everything. We just left it, and we never built from that. So being exposed to um, a film like a Kwame Nkrumah film, a Yas Santua, a Jerry John Rollins. There are so many key figures that people need to know about to let them know that they are not sitting on we're sitting on so much abundance of knowledge and wealth that needs to be accessed for Ghanaians to know that we are not who we are seeing ourselves now. We are actually bigger than the world is, right? And for bringing it back home to where I was trying to go into, I feel like something like a Kwame Nkrumah film should be a national agenda. It should not be something that a Kwame Koda will come in with maybe like $100,000 budget or something. This is something that the government should be able to pump in at least some $2 million or $5 million or something, because that film is going to be there for the rest of our lives, and this is what is going to inform our children and our children's children that this is the kind of people we are, and this is example of one person that was able to do something. So bringing that back home again, I keep moving. Things like that, we need the government to be able to create avenues for talents to be able to tell our stories and expose our people to the knowledge that we've left behind that we might have lost, right? And
Yes.
I don't think that can be done by one person. That has to be done when it's a national agenda, when we can touch the masses, when we can do films in Accra, export it to the north or the west or wherever, so that people know that okay, this knowledge is available and this is what you can do. You don't have to be you don't have to even come to Accra to know that, oh, these are how the roads look like, or this is how a road should look like. Certain things, like even people, when it's raining and then the people are pouring rubbish into the gutters, this should be like a film that we can go show in Nima or something. Like these are things that one person can do, and I feel like these are things that need government intervention or need government. I'm only speaking from the creative scene because that is where I'm very well versed at. I can go into all the other things, but speaking from my little corner or my little perspective, I feel like these are things that should be a national agenda, and this should be something that the government should pay attention to. Even lands, right? I remember growing up, there are times where things will happen and all of a sudden the government has an advert for it to educate people. Washing your hands, this thing about people selling land 5 times and 6 times. These are things that right now we should be seeing adverts on the TV stations and whatnot already. We should be seeing ads on YouTube. So I feel like, in as much as we have our own part of the, we have our stories to tell and everything, I feel like some things like this should be the national agenda, and these are things that the government should take very, very important. And we need those stories to liberate our minds because we have a mindset problem. And yeah, that's my little piece.
Okay, thank you, Kwame. Majid.
Right. So just like Kwame said, I'll side with him that I would like to put it maybe into other words. So I would say we need a structure as a
Yes.
creative industry. We need a structure. It is through the structure that we'll be able to tell a Kwame Nkrumah story. It is through the structure that we'll be able to tell a Yasanso story, because those people are state um, personnel. You know,
Yes.
I assisted in a research on Kwame Nkrumah, and then I realized that it's not that easy to tell a Kwame Nkrumah story. Because you have to get the rights to it. You have to meet some of the family members. Sometimes you have to even spend years with them. In order to be able to get the nuance of him. What we know of him is the national hero, but there are some nuances that we need to put in the film if we're going to tell that story. And to do this, of course, we need the government backing. So we need a structure. If we have a structure, I'm telling you, in the creative industry, everything else is going to fall in place. The current government is doing their bits, because they just recently launched the National Film Fund, which we are
Mm-hmm.
kind of excited about, because at least there is a step forward as to whether the fund will serve its purpose or not. At least we know that we have a fund, in the conversation. So I think that is what it is. That is what is needed right now. We need a structure where, even if you're a creative, if you're an actor, you have your actors card. If you're a director, you have your director's card. Like, you belong to some government bodies where, if there are some incentives that you need to receive, you receive it. I tell you what, when you go to Hollywood, they have the SAG-AFTRA actors, where you could play even just a minor role, but maybe if the film is like selling cinemas and it's breaking box office, you're still getting some royalties, back to back to back, small royalties, but we don't have those structures here. I have starred in a lot of projects. One of my projects on DSTV called Party Office is a series, right? We shot it somewhere 2023, I think, and then they keep showing it almost like every year. But I was paid once. You understand? I was paid once, and that was it. But even just now, they've started showing the same series again, and I'm not going to earn anything from it. But it's still my image. Musicians, when they put their music in on Spotify or the streaming, every time you stream it, they're going to get paid. So if we have that structure, that organized structure where creatives can belong to, which will also look out for the creatives, that is where we can tell the stories that we want to tell and the stories that we are meant to tell. Until then, we all just start telling, we'll all be telling our personal stories that we are passionate about, so that's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we're almost out of time. So we'll end with one final thought from each of you. So someone in this audience is going to leave this session and finally start the very thing they've been thinking about. In one sentence, what do you want them to keep in mind when they finally start? I'll start with Amma.
Don't overthink it. Just post a thing. Post the thing, nothing bad will happen. There is no, I mean, I spent almost a year agonizing over big fat African developments before I posted anything, and I should have done it a year ago. you know, I would already be a year ahead. But but it's never too late. Start now. Start tomorrow. At the very latest, just post the thing. It'll be fine.
Okay. Kwame.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with Alma. Start now. I've always been the kind of person to, if I have an idea, I want it done now, and I don't mind getting it wrong. We have this thing where we don't want people to make mistakes, and when people make mistakes, instead of telling them to get back and go again, we call them failures, which doesn't make sense to me because you only fail when you did something and you stop. You're not gonna die. We're gonna be here till like probably 90 or 80. So you can always keep going, keep going, keep going. But one thing I'm also going to add is always have the bigger vision in your mind. Always have the idea of where you're trying to go in your mind, and then aim for the sky. Nobody's going to arrest you if you say you want to make $1 billion before you die. You are allowed to do that. It might be that you might touch it, you might not touch it, but always have that idea of the bigger picture in your head and believe you're going to get there. Even if you don't get there, you're still not getting arrested for that. So yeah, always have that bigger picture in mind.
Okay. All right. Majid.
Mine is very simple. Nobody owes you anything. Your dream is your dream. Your choices are your choices. Nobody owes you anything, not your parents, not your friends, not your anything. If you post anything they don't like, don't hold them. Don't be angry at them. It is your dream. Nobody owes you anything. Just you have to hold yourself accountable, and that's it.
Okay. All right. So to the audience, start, aim for the skies, and nobody owes you anything. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was a lovely, insightful conversation. I learned a lot from the three of you. And like I said in the beginning, you are brilliant in your fields. Thank you so much. Again, Mami Openwad, and enjoy the rest of your day. All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mami, and the wonderful panelists for that great discussion. I enjoyed every bit of it. We appreciate your time and the perspective that you shared on media and creator economy. We are very grateful. So we are moving on to the next, but before that, we have something to show all of you, and we want you to stick and stay while we show it so that you can enjoy it. Please, we'll be back. Thank you for sticking. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you so much that you are still here with me. So we have a special announcement. Yesterday I told you that we have a special announcement that we want all of you to hear, and this is the time for it. I cannot say it. I would have to introduce my vice president of Oxy to come and give us this special announcement. I would want to also thank everybody here and my wonderful team that is behind the scenes doing this. Kakari, please over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Lydia, and thank you to every speaker, every participant, everyone who has joined us today. It has been a very fantastic and inspiring summit. First of all, I want to say a big thank you to the team, from Andy to Big Sam to Casey, Lydia, Bellona, Dennis, Moses, Kelvin, who else? I'm sorry if I'm forgetting names, but yeah, a big thank you to all of you. We really appreciate you. This could not happen. This would not have happened without you. So yeah, before we close, my name is Kwabena Oduro Kakari, and I'm a co-founder and CEO of this organization, Oxy. I would like to share something we've been working hard to build with you, and I'm pleased to introduce it here. I'm pleased to introduce it here today. Sorry. The Ghana Youth Government is what we are working on. And let me be clear, this is not an official full launch. This is, this is just an introduction. We are still putting every stuff together, making the final touches, testing how it works best, and making sure it delivers real lasting value to you. Think of this as your exclusive early introduction. You are the first to hear about it. And the youth government is basically designed to address the frustration we all feel, from the disappointment and delays from the political front. For too long, we have waited on government to solve all of our problems. And too often, those solutions never come. GYG exists not to sit and wait, but to step in and fix all these problems, directly. It is a platform for young people to engage with governance, bring forward fresh ideas, and help deliver real solutions across our nation. It is also built to support and align with the vision of the United Tribes of Africa, working together to build unity, cooperation, and shared progress across the continent. In the coming weeks, we will share full details, how you can sign up, get involved, and make the most of what GYG offers. For now, we are excited to confirm that it is on track. It is being built specifically for people like you. Thank you for your energy, your questions, your ambition today. We look forward to continuing this journey with you through GYG and beyond. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Kakari. Thank you for the announcement. So moving on, we have somebody special who's here to give us the closing remarks because we had to wrap up the end of today's session. It's been wonderful having you to be part of my audience, and I am also honored that I got to be your program coordinator. So I am here to introduce Belle, the Luna, to give us the special remarks. Belle, please over to you.
Thank you so much, Lydia, for the introduction. My name is Belle, and I'm here to give you the closing remarks. So, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, guests, and especially our young entrepreneurs. Today, we shared ideas, challenged assumptions, and connected with people who share your drive. Remember, every great business starts with a single idea, but it grows through courage, resilience, and learning from every step. Take what you've heard here today, turn it into action. Build boldly, lead ethically, and support one another along the way because we spoke about collaboration. The journey won't always be easy, but the impact you can create is limitless. Thank you to all our speakers, team, and everyone who made this summit possible. Let's stay connected, keep innovating, and shape the future together. This summit is now officially closed. Safe travels and all the very best on your entrepreneurial journey. Have a good day.